I had a student of mine who attended a class bring me an old kind of foot pedal forge, and the story is that it was something his dad, I think, used like 50 years ago. He intended on renovating it, but it was too far gone, so he wondered if I could like wanted it for like just a decoration or something like that. And I took and I was like, okay, that's going to be a bit of a project, but I'm gonna see if I can get it working again. And now I actually do have it working again. So let me go through what I had to do to get this working. Just to show you that you can take something that's almost entirely gone, just scrap, and make it work again, as long as it's something simple that's not like weird electrical stuff. Yeah. So this is the forge as it stands now. It works, but when it came to me, the fire pot looked like this, right? That's not usable. This is cast iron, so you can't weld this up. So making a new fire pot was necessary. Here's the thing though, oftentimes you would just take a new fire pot with everything and just plump it down into a new. It also got a new table, new plate here. But you just plump down an entirely new fire pot. But this one was designed in such a way that this bottom part interfaces with the blower. So if I swapped out this bottom part, I had to swap out the blower as well, and these are much rarer to come by. So I had to keep this, which meant I had to weld up a new fire pot and attach with bolts. Don't look at my welding. Attach it like this. The next thing I then had to do was I had to replace this. This is the ash kind of trap lever thing. You open that up to get the ash and slag out of there, clinker. And this was riveted on, but it was rusted off, so I had to just make a small new plate and rivet that on again. Nothing fancy there, but it's small stuff. I also replaced this bolt because the original was kind of worn out. Then the foot pedal down here had a little bit of trouble because it's very worn. So this one, you can see it's almost worn through, like it's originally been this thickness, but it's also originally it would go to here. And it had like a weird shape here, like an indentation, almost like it's been running on the tip of this. So what I did, this is gonna hold up fine, but I just welded this up to give it a little bit more mass. Otherwise it kept plopping off of this. You can see how worn this is. And then I swapped out the bolt down here because that was worn halfway through. I have the bolt somewhere. Let me see if I can find that. Just to show you how worn this was. Right, that was the bolts. So yeah, very, very worn out pieces on this. Now that works fine. And then the wheel had two issues, and I found a third. So the one issue is that it didn't track very well. So what I did, I just ran it like this with a flat disc on one side and then a little bit on the other side, just to help it even out. It didn't really do much at all. I also tried repositioning it a little bit here. That helped some. But of course, then the blower positioning is really what matters if you can't get this wheel to track. It's very crooked. And it also has two brakes. It has a brake right here, and it has a brake here. It's fine, but I might want to just drill two holes here and put a bolt through with a plate just to support this, and do something here as well. You can't weld this really, but I can do something that wraps around and bolts around this. So that was something that needed dealing with as well. Now the bottom, these pieces here, they had to be straightened out because they had been crushed and mangled, and there were bracing on here, cross bracing riveted on. There you can see the holes here from it. That's an aftermarket modification, and it's entirely unnecessary. So those were torn off as well because they're just unnecessary weights. I can show you. They're out here, right next to the anchor. So it had these on here, pointless weights to carry around. And once I got those off, it turned out it was a little bit crooked. It was wobbly. So I marked out which legs were high, and then I just turned it around and just took a millimeter or two off of the bottom, so it's a little bit more solid. Then what else did I do? Let's see. Yeah, so the way this attaches to the plate, I fucked up the positioning of this hole on the plate, so I had to stretch out this a little bit, and it's a little bit, it's not great. This is also not bolted in yet. Now this you can see, this is supposed to interface, and it doesn't interface very well. That's not a problem. I'll show you later when I show you how much air this gives. It creates a ton of air. It's not a problem at all. But I would like this to not be so wobbly, because this is designed to only hold in 2 bolts, and it's thin and rusted, so it's not really super well. So what I did first is I drilled holes up here into the blower and tapped those, and then I welded on these flanges so to put a bolt through and kind of just tighten it together. However, that fucks up the positioning of the fire pot and the plate here, and it kind of warps this entire thing, and that's one of the reasons why it wasn't tracking well when I was trying to do that. So I had to skip that idea, and instead I just took a little piece of flat bar and put in between here just to support it a little bit. That gives it makes it a little bit more steady. So that's just a small little thing. And then it's just a matter of oiling everything up, making sure it runs nice and easily. And then duct tape, just wrap it around itself. You've got a belt to test this out. That's pretty much it. The last thing I want to do is bolt this onto the table so the plate here is solid. And then I cut the hole out of this, and it's got like, you see, it's got like tabs here, kind of hold it in place. What I'll usually do is I also weld on tabs on the top here. You can see it's got that gap here, so I'd weld an entire place here just to make sure to you can rake coals over this edge without them falling through here, a bunch of dust. It closes nicer around here, but I'll probably do as much as I can a little bit over here, because this is where you will rake the coals from. But let me show you how it actually runs. Alright, so I just quickly finished up welding this and bolted down the table, and we're ready to do a quick test. What I want to do is I just want to show you how effective these actually are. A lot of people, especially old-timers, are not particularly fond of... I need a new lighter. They're not particularly fond of these like foot-driven so it turns out it's pretty windy out here, and with the sun I can't even see if the lighter is on or not. There we go. So I'm just going to quickly show you how this works. A little bit of heat to start with, a little bit of coal, and as you can tell, we've got some windy weather. I'm gonna open up the hatch here, and then I'm just gonna, I adjusted the wheel as well, so you don't have to start it. You can, like, by hand, you can just kind of step down on it. It's weighted, so it kind of settles here, and if you just stamp it hard enough, it'll go on its own. And you can tell how much air comes up here. This should be decent. You can stand by it, like you can go a lot quicker if you want. There we go. So I'm just going like at a medium rate here, fairly slow, and it's easily getting up to temperature. Right, you can go like this to maintain the heat. This is fine, and I don't even have it fully opened. And of course, if I want to get it up to like really hot, see, it's actually, for charcoal it gives too much air. Since the charcoal is they're light, so they'll blow off if you open it too much. But yeah, it's very, very effective. Maintain the heat. Barely any coal on this. It's just to show. If we go really hard, yeah. So if you're wondering what that noise is, it's one of the fans in the blower here has been replaced, and it's not positioned quite right, and so you can see there's a little bit of slop here. That noise is when this runs in there, then that fan hits the side of the casing, and it creates a lot of noise. When it goes slow, you can barely like hear it. You can feel it that it's rubbing up against it, but that makes a horrible noise when it's running at full speed. But that's what that is. So a washer in here to keep it positioned correctly would be nice, but there's no way of taking this off really. But that's the forge, super easy. So that's just to say that these kind of foot pedal forges, they're really efficient, and a lot of times people gloss over them or they don't like them. So I have another one which is a little bit nicer than this one, and that had been converted with an electrical blower and all that kind of stuff, and I reverted that back to the original. So it's a foot pedal forge again now, and it just runs like so easily, so smoothly, and you don't need electricity. Like, it's so dumb having something that runs on manual power, then convert it to something where you need like electricity to run it. And they give so much air. Like the reduction on that wheel to the blower is wild. So it's a ton of air. It's way more air than you ever need if you really go for it. So like, these forges are really nice, and if you find one that's in bad shape, if you have a welding machine and a little bit of tooling, you can easily make it functional again. The important thing is that the blower is somewhat intact. If it's missing a single fan or it's kind of halfway rusted away, that's not a problem. It gets plenty air, and you really don't have to worry about it being completely like airtight at all. Just take a look at the amount of air I have in here, right? It's nowhere near, and there are two holes on top up here, and it's wild how much air gap there is. So that's because it just gives way more air than necessary, and it works just fine, even though it's rusted and pitted and kind of not completely airtight at all. So yeah, just fix them up and use them. It takes a little bit of time. I spent a couple of days on this. So like, financially it's not really worth it, but if you're a hobbyist and you need a forge or find one that's broken down, just fix it. It's fine.